Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. Today we're going to be doing a head-to-head challenge with the Dser and the Golongele. One thing to keep in mind between the Dser and the Golongele is the Golongele only has a suction only port, whereas the Dser has an actual brush roll. So I want to see how well they do on carpet. We use our classic dog food here, and at the end we'll compare and I'll give you my final thoughts. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as you can see, I laid out some dog food here. I'll just show you around the room here a little bit. And then some more along the edge. Here's some just additional shots of the dog food on the floor prior to the test. So we're going to start with the Golongele first. We'll go ahead and get that started. For the sake of time in this video, I'm going to just let the Golongele finish up here and then I'll check in when it's all done. Alright, the Golongele just finished up. I want to show you what it left. It left quite a bit. I believe that's because it's a suction only intake compared to the Dser and iRobot vacuums. So as you can see, they're left quite a bit. So now we'll get set up for the Dser, and then we'll get started. Alright, so doing pretty much the same setup for the Dser. Here's just some pictures of before, and then we'll get the Dser started. Alrighty, now that you've seen how much dog food I put down, let's go ahead and hit start on the Dser. Already you can tell it's off to a better start. So I'm going to let this clean and wait until it goes back to the dock, and then we'll check the results and compare it to the Golongele. Alright, so the Dser is just heading back to the dock here. Let's take a look at how well it did compared to the Golongele. So as you can see along the edges here, it did leave a couple pieces, a couple stray pieces there, like a piece there. As you can see, it got pretty much everything over in that corner. Looks like I left one little piece over here. Then we'll go over here. And looks like I left a couple pieces here along the edge as well. So both of them have their strengths and weaknesses. In the next clip here, we'll talk more about it. Alright, let's take a look at the dustbins for each vacuum here. So this is the Golongele vacuum here, obviously the Dser. So let's look at the Golongele vacuum. And as you can see, it didn't pick up a whole lot compared to the Dser. Also, the Dser has a larger dustbin. It's very similar to the M7 Pro size-wise. It also picked up a big chunk of hair. So one of the main things I think that sets the Golongele apart from the Dser is the dustbin size. Obviously, the bin isn't too big. There's not a whole lot room for a bunch of debris. As you can see where this is here, so once the gongle starts getting full, you can see this is the intake for the dustbin, and if it starts getting super full, that'll kind of plug that up, and then you are just kind of flinging debris around. Now with the Dser, this one has a similar dustbin to the M7 Pro. This one kind of has the intake a little bit lower with no cover on it, so you got to be careful. Like if you take it out to empty it, you're not like going like this. So that's one thing, but definitely I think the Dser one, this head-to-hand challenge between the gongle. The gongle, in my opinion, is a lot better for hardwood floors. I'll just show you the bottoms of them here. As you can see, it only has that suction port only, and then like a rubber seal to kind of like suck everything in. So I definitely, if I try this on hardwood floor, I think it would do a lot better, which I'll do that in a separate video. Let's take a look at the Dser here. Prior to the video, I did clean out the brush roll and stuff. With two dogs, they just shed a lot, so it gets full of hair. But as you can see, this one has a brush roll and two side brushes, and then the dustbin is a very decent size compared to the gongle. This is obviously smaller, and this is a lot bigger. Also, it has a brush roll that you can spin, and this one just does suction only. So that's one of the key differences between the two robots. So one thing with the gongle I wanted to show you is this particular unit does not have high suction. I mean, it's still a good vacuum for light cleaning, maybe just light pet hair on the hardwood floor. But as it goes over here to suck up this little pile I put down, I just wanted you to see how it actually works. Alright, so once I showed you that there, it doesn't have the best suction, for it being a smaller robot budget vacuum. So as you can see, it really didn't pick much of that up over there. But, like if I turn this thing on here real quick, I'll show you. Like, it's not very strong. Like, you can still feel some air pulling stuff in. Kind of a downfall because this vacuum is pretty decent otherwise. Like, you can, it does really good with large clumps of hair, picking that up off the hardwood floor and stuff like that. But as far as carpet, it's just not really made for carpet. If you have a smaller apartment or a smaller house, or maybe like a man cave or something, you just want to have it clean your hardwood floors done in that area, this would probably be a good little budget vacuum for that. Compared to the Dser itself is a lot better at picking up all kinds of debris from carpet. It's not the greatest at deep cleaning carpet, but it will get everything on the surface that it can. It does struggle a bit with along the sides, as you can see there, but that's most robot vacuums. Unless they have a dedicated wall sensor, they're still struggling a little bit. So let me show you how this one does with picking up debris along this little path I made here. I'll just kind of show you the differences between the two. So another couple things I want to mention between the Dser and the gongle is the gongle just has a remote control that you can use to start it. You can adjust the way it moves, like you can turn it left, right, forward, backwards. You can adjust the suction power. In my opinion, personally, I feel that the suction power doesn't really change too much in the gongle. But compared to the Dser has its own app. It can be controlled with Alexa or Google. and you can tell it to start cleaning, return to the dock, and stuff like that. Now, so I believe this one just uses random navigation, and this one uses the gyroscope. So you can kind of tell the difference between the two when they're running. Let me see if I can show you that real quick. So as you can see, the Dser kind of just goes wherever, and this one kind of goes in a straight line, and then kind of just turns around and goes the opposite direction. So it kind of looks like a smart vacuum with its random navigation. Whereas the Dser just kind of does its own little thing. Alright, so here's my final thoughts on the two vacuums here. So the Golongele, let's talk about that one a little bit here first. That one is not a bad vacuum by any means. It will clean. It just won't do a lot of deep cleaning, and it's not really made for carpets. Like if you have all hardwood floors, the Golongeles do pretty good with hard floors. I uploaded a couple videos with them doing hardwood floor pickup, and they did really well. Compared to a carpet setting, it doesn't do the greatest. So if you're going to buy the Golongele, I would highly recommend that you use it for hardwood floors, or like a man cave or something like that that has hardwood floors that it's easy to pick up large debris. One thing to keep in mind though with the Golongele is it does have a very small dustbin. So as you can see, you know, this is what it picked up from the test. So it is pretty small. And the other thing is, this is kind of like a extra filter screen that goes in there, and if your dustbin is too full, you cannot get it back in there unless you empty out the dustbin. To empty out the dustbin, it's really easy though. Not a big, huge deal. It's really easy to do. As you can see, you know, there's some dog food there preventing that from sliding in the little grooves here. The filter itself, just kind of a standard filter. I haven't had a chance to test to see how well it actually filters out particles compared to like an iRobot unit or the Dser itself. But that's one thing to keep in mind. I haven't had a chance to filter out any particles or anything like that to see how well this filter does compared to the Dser or the Deebot, or excuse me, Ozmo 950 or the iRobot. So that's just one thing to keep in mind with this Golongele. I mean, if you don't have a lot of pet hair or stuff like that, this is probably a good vacuum for you. Just kind of keep your house clean with hardwood floors. It'd be a good little vacuum, and it's a very inexpensive vacuum, and it works very well on hardwood floors. It's just carpets, it's not as strong. It does very well for hardwood floors. Carpet is not a strong suit. They do make another version of the Golongele vacuum which does not have a dock. It just has a plug-in cord that you plug in, and then you unplug it when you're ready to use it. I did make a video on that, and I'll link that description below. Alright, now that we've talked about the Golongele, let's talk about the Dser itself. So the Dser has an app. It's voice controllable with Alexa and Google. You can schedule cleanings on the app. You can also select the mode if you want high power, low power, or just standard. And then the Dser also comes with a remote, just like the Golongele. The remote is a little bit more advanced with the Dser. You know, it has a little LCD screen. You can adjust scheduling. You can turn the robot around, front, forward, backward, sideways. You can also select the fan speed you want to use, which is very nice. Now let's look at the dustbin, which we kind of did already, but we'll do it again here just so you guys can fully see a comparison between the two. Alright, so here's the Dser's dustbin, and here is the Golongele's. As you can see, the Dser is a lot bigger. It kind of reminds me of the M7 Pro from Prosenic's dustbin, just because how big it is. It's very comparable to that. So that's just the dustbins there. I'll set that aside here. We did go over this a little bit earlier, but as you can see, the Dser does have two side brushes, has a brush roll. It's not the greatest with detangling hair, as you can see, even though I clean this probably every week, just because I have this one run in my master bedroom where the dog's going to hang out all the time. So that's the bottom of the Dser. One thing I do like about the Dser is, yes, it does bounce around from your house, but it does come with boundary strips. The Golongele does not have boundary strips, and I did test the magnetic strips with the Golongele, and it was not able to recognize them. So that's just one thing to keep in mind between the two. The Dser itself does pretty decent with cleaning, as you can see, as you saw in the video here. Just struggle quite a bit around the edges. But in my opinion, if you have a lot of carpets in your house and hardwood floors, I would go with the Dser just because it does have that brush roll and be able to pick up debris from carpet. It does pretty decent with pet hair on the surface, not the greatest with deep cleaning carpet. The Golongele itself will be good for hardwood only. If you have just a lot of like crumbs and stuff, or maybe you have a toddler or something like that, or just even in the kitchen, it would do really good with that. But it's not going to be helpful if you have carpet. So that's my opinions on these two vacuums. The one thing I think you should look at before you make a purchase of a robot vacuum, it doesn't have to be these two, it doesn't have to be an iRobot. Just look at the suction power, look at the ability to resist hair tangles. If you have a lot of pet hair, you may want to get something more stronger like the iRobot Roomba or the new Ecovacs T8. If you just want something to kind of just lightly surface clean the house and you do your regular vacuuming during the week, or the upright vacuum, then this would probably be a good, these two would probably be a good vacuum for that. Like the Golongele, like I said, is just not made for carpets, so you're going to have a lot of trouble deep cleaning your carpets with the Golongele. The Dser is 50-50, like it does really well on carpets and hardwood floors, it just struggles along the edges, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Most robot vacuums do struggle like that around the edges, unless you have like the D-shaped robot vacuums like from Neato or iRobot's S9. But other than that, I think they're both great robot vacuums. It just really depends on the situation you're going to use them for. Like if you're just going to use it for a hardwood floor cleaning every day, and then you're going to vacuum with your upright vacuum at the end of the week, just kind of get everything else that missed, then that'd probably be a good thing for you. But the one thing you got to keep in mind is how much are you going to use the vacuum? Are you going to more likely depend on the robot vacuum to clean and deep clean, or are you just going to use it to kind of lightly surface clean until you can do a deep cleaning with your upright vacuum? So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Like I said, I got both these robots sent to me for free. I just wanted to kind of make a video on how they both perform head to head and kind of their pros and cons, because honestly, there's some YouTubers out there that will just say they won't. There's some YouTubers out there that will say they didn't get this sent for free, and they did, and then they'll make it seem like it's the best vacuum in the world. And for me, I'm always a big believer of being honest with my viewers and letting them decide for themselves. So I'm never going to be biased or anything like that on vacuums that get sent for free. I'm always going to show the true results of them. But one thing I do like about these two budget vacuums is they're very inexpensive. They both do a decent job. Like the Golongele does good in its own way, and the Dser does good in its own way. It just depends on what you really want to look for and what you're going to be doing. But I appreciate you guys watching and supporting my channel. I know it's been kind of slow lately, like last couple of months, just because I've had many ankle surgeries. I really do appreciate your support. I couldn't be here without you guys. I want to send a thank you to Dser and Golongele for sending these robot vacuums over a couple of months ago. Like I said, these are just opinions I have. You guys can purchase these vacuums and do your own opinions if you'd like. But I'm not going to tell you one way or the other which one to buy. It all depends on what you're going to need it for, and every person's situation is different. Like I could have several dogs, which I do have 2, but I could have maybe 5 or 6. For me, I probably wouldn't buy the Golongele for that. I probably would use the Dser, since it does have that brush roll and it can work on carpet and hard floors. Because for me, I have 2 dogs that shed a lot. I use the iRobot and the Deebot mostly because they're a lot more powerful with deep cleaning carpets. So every situation is different. It really just depends on your situation. Like if you have kids, if you have pets, if it's just you and your girlfriend or husband or whoever, it really just depends on how you're going to use it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all your support. We'll be coming back with more videos hopefully next week. I'm waiting on a couple products coming in from Proscenic and another company. I can't remember the name of that one right now. But like I said, everything is going to be truthful and honest. I'm not going to butcher the results. I'm not going to try to make something look super good when it's not. I'm going to let everyone decide for themselves. Because, I'm a very big believer. I'm a very big believer in letting people decide for themselves with me just putting the information out there. I can tell you my opinions, but I'm not going to say, oh yeah, this robot is the best on the market when, it may not be. And that's just one of the things that comes with reviewing. You just have to be honest and open. So I'll always be honest and open with my viewers and my fans. And I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the companies that have reached out and provided robotic vacuum cleaners and other products for me to do. In a couple of weeks here, I'll be doing a review on the EnviroCleanse. I'm also waiting on a Roborock S6 Max V that I ordered. So it'll be very eventful here coming up in the next couple of weeks with new products. Once again, I thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions or want to see something done in a video, just send me a message or leave a comment down below. I check my messages regularly on Facebook, which is just www.facebook.com/FunTechReviews YouTube or YT. And feel free to send me a message, connect with me, join my iRobot group, join the Buy and Sell Robot Vacuums group. I always like learning and talking to my viewers and finding out what people like and what they don't like about my videos. So don't ever be afraid to leave your honest opinions. And I appreciate every single one of you. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Yeah.